We are. How's it going, R?
Good, thanks. How are you?
It's great. Life is really good right now. I'm really excited to have you on. I know you're chiming in from Panama City.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm certainly happy to talk about this subject. I talk about it quite a bit these days.
Yeah, so let's dive right into who you are and your involvement with the 5G rollout.
Okay, sure. Well, my name's R Blank. I run a company called Shield Your Body, which you can see at shieldyourbody.com, and we make and sell products that protect you from electromagnetic radiation from devices like cell phones and laptops and smart meters, anything that communicates wirelessly. Um, I got into this work uh, back in around 2012, and what happened was my father he was one of the world's leading scientists in EMF health effects, and he did a lot of work, particularly within the cell. So how EMF interacts with what it's in the details, but with stress proteins in your cell, how your cells react at a biological level to EMF. And then from that, he became kind of an activist after he retired. He went around, he gave testimony, he participated in other forms of activism, participated in other groups that were arguing that safety standards for this type of technology needed to be better and formulated based in what science could tell us now. And so back in 2012, he was writing a book about his work. And he asked me, I'd written a couple of books by that point, and I'd been teaching on the faculty at USC Engineering School, and he asked me for some help. And so I got into the weeds with him, and I learned an awful lot about EMF science, the science of the health effects around electromagnetic radiation. And in the course of writing that book, I realized that well, the science is real. There's a ton of really high quality science demonstrating some really concerning health effects from this type of technology. But the other side of me, the part who's an entrepreneur, saw that the technology that emits this type of radiation, it's fundamental to our economy and our society. So there are safer ways to use it, but you can't get rid of it unless you're willing to go back to the 1850s, before the light bulb was invented and the power grid was invented to
Right.
power the light bulbs. So EMF is here to stay for as long as society is, and there are safer ways to use this technology. And part of that is going to be forcing standard setting bodies and regulatory agencies to recognize that and change the safety standards by which these products are released. Part of it is teaching people about this and safer ways to use the technology. And part of it is using products like the ones that I make and sell that make it safer to use the technology. So that's how I got into this. Does that answer your
Yeah.
question?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting. Right now we have the coronavirus crisis that has hit our planet all over the world, or I mean, all the major cities and small cities, and so people are really concerned about. I think the rumors started in the UK that the cell phone towers are connected to the coronavirus in some way. I know these are all conspiracy theories, or are they? I mean, this is a question for you. Is there a connection between the two?
Well, there's definitely a connection between the two in terms
Really?
of how media is covering it.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, not biologically.
I was
So,
like, whoa.
um, yeah, when you have people like Woody Harrelson, tweeting out that this is real, people are going to pay attention to it. And it definitely got a tremendous amount of media coverage, which is why you saw vandalism against cell towers in the UK.
Right.
Where this started, it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I'm on a lot of these mailing lists and check websites, and there are some EMF activists, some whose work I really, in general, quite respect quite a bit, and they started saying that the disease was in response to 5G. And part of it, there's a few things going on. Part of it is that the disease appears to have initiated in Wuhan, China, and that was one of the early deployment sites for 5G in China. So Wuhan is a 5G city, and there's a lot of 5G technology in Wuhan. And then it was spreading to a lot of places that had 5G, but that's because 5G is in a lot of places. Um,
Right.
and then if you, depending on how you look at it, there's a way of looking at some of the symptoms of the disease that can be seen in some instances as being similar to what we call hyper electrosensitivity, which is basically an increasing number of people in the world have well, in shorthand, it's called Wi-Fi allergies. So they're allergic to this type of radiation, and that set of allergies manifests with a wide set of possible symptoms. And some people were seeing similarities in the uh, COVID symptoms along, with the
Interesting.
EHS is short for electrohypersensitivity, similarities between COVID symptoms and EHS symptoms. It, I think, takes a real selective view of what COVID symptoms are to really see that as a strong correlation. But
Right.
that's what people are seeing.
Okay.
Uh, Sorry, someone's Skyping me. Let me just turn off the notifications.
It's all
There.
good.
So now, but what it really comes down to is that uh, so so wireless technology obviously has been around for a long time. The first cell phone was created in 1979. Since then, it's been growing exponentially. And you see it, especially if you live in city. It might be hard to appreciate it because you see these changes day by day. But if you look around, the number of cell towers that you're seeing today compared to even 5 years ago, it's a dramatic increase. And the science that that shows that this stuff is harmful to human health and actually all of nature is quite strong. And so as the technology has been increasing in our environment, the radiation has been increasing in the environment, the health effects have been increasing in the environment, and so has awareness. And 5G is really the first time where that awareness, at least in my what I'm seeing, that awareness has hit some kind of critical mass where people are really concerned. And you're actually seeing cities, whole cities. The city of Brussels, the capital of Belgium, has indefinitely suspended the 5G rollout
Really
because they said it's too dangerous. We don't
interesting.
know how much radiation this stuff is going to give off, and we don't know what the health effects are. And until the companies can prove to us what the answers to those important questions are, we're not going to
Interesting.
have 5G in our city. And there are
So,
other cities around the world where maybe they're not doing a full ban, but they've initiated investigations. And it's the first time in my, and I've been doing this stuff for almost 10 years. My father was doing it for 30 years before that. It's the first time you're seeing this level of opposition emerge. And part of that, like I say, is based in fear because people are starting to realize that the wireless companies roll out this technology without any testing into the health effects. And we can get into a little bit, if you want, into how this
well,
stuff is actually regulated. I'm sorry, I'm
yeah,
not letting you ask a question, but
it's okay. You
but
make some good points. Yeah.
but yeah, but so you have people are starting to realize this stuff is not tested because 5G is not tested. And what it does to you over 3 months or 6 months or a year or 5 years or 10 years, there is no scientific data to support any claims of safety. And people are getting freaked out. And COVID has also given rise to a lot of freaking out because it's a terrifying situation for a big chunk of the world for a lot of reasons. And so there's a lot of conspiracy theories about COVID. 5G is not the only one that you're seeing. And it's because that seems to be part of human nature. And it's one that's exacerbated by the ways in which we consume and distribute media these days, which is something I'm sure you're more focused on than I am. And
Absolutely.
so that's why you're really, I think, seeing the popularity of the notion that 5G caused coronavirus or caused COVID when there's no science to support. I just want to be completely clear. There's absolutely no science to support that claim. Now, and I'll finish my rant in after this point, which is there is science that demonstrates that this type of radiation, because while there's no long-term testing into 5G, we do have now decades of data on prior generations of wireless technology. That includes Wi-Fi, 4G, 3G, and so forth back into the 80s. And among the sets of health effects that we do see are are suppression of the immune system. Now, EMF is not the only immunosuppressant in the world, right? I mean, there's a lot of pollution. Pollution is an immunosuppressant. There's a lot of bad diet. Bad diet is an immunosuppressant. But EMF is, in my opinion, certainly part of a mix of toxic pollutants and lifestyle aspects that make our immune systems more susceptible to illness and sickness from a disease like COVID. That's incontrovertible, but that's a far step from saying 5G caused COVID.
Thank
How
you
is
for
that?
that. That was great. You even you answered a lot of my question in what you were saying. So you made some really valid points. And I think one of the things that kept coming up is the connection to health risks and what is controversial and what's actually connected to health risks connected through 5G. So my question to you is, what are the true health risks that we have here that will be created by 5G?
Sure. Well, again, just to be clear, we don't know, so because the way I don't want to get too technical, but how is 5G different from 4G or different from Wi-Fi? And the way it's different is it operates at a different frequency. And people know what a frequency is, right? Because you'll see
Yeah.
your Wi-Fi router is 2.4 gigahertz, right? Or your cordless phone is 800 megahertz. Whatever, these are the hertz is how you measure frequency. And 5G is a whole new set of frequencies that have never been deployed before in consumer applications. So you've seen it in military weaponry. They actually use these frequencies as weapons, which should tell you something. But so when it comes, it's very hard to say specifically what diseases we're going to see from 5G, because different technologies in the past that emit EMF radiation have resulted in different incidence of different diseases. So certain frequencies, for instance, we've seen an increase in leukemia. Certain frequencies, we've seen an increase in melanoma. Certain frequencies, we've seen an increase in brain tumors. And we don't know exactly what we're going to see when 5G rolls out. But there are certain aspects of EMF that I think we'll see in all frequencies. And we've certainly seen them so far in the frequencies that have been deployed. And this is, again, going back to the work my father did. Well, actually, I'll go back even before the work my father did. There are these two scientists from Washington State, Dr. Henry Lai and Dr. Narendra Singh, and they showed in, I believe it was the late 80s or early 90s, or perhaps both, because it was over a series of experiments. But they showed that exposure to radiation that's equivalent to what you would get at the time. It was a cordless phone, but it's very similar to a cell phone. Exposure, even short exposures to radiation from a device that everyone has that was well within safety limits, led to something called strand breaks of your DNA. And DNA is made up. It's a double helix. Many of us probably remember this from school, right? That spiral, the double spiral.
Yeah.
And so DNA is made up of two identical strands. And what Doctors Lai and Singh showed was that EMF can break those strands. Now, sometimes the damage can be repaired by your cell, because you have two copies of the information in the cell. But sometimes the damage is so severe that the cell can't repair the damage. And then you get either one of two things happening. You have a mutation or you have the cell dying. Now, actually, of those two choices, cell death is the preferred one, because then you're not getting a mutation. But if you end up with a mutation, then the DNA, which is the critical information of life, how your body knows how to operate and to build itself and to rebuild itself, and how how your liver functions and how your brain functions, it's all encoded into your DNA. And when it repairs itself incorrectly and you get these mutations and it doesn't die, then those mutations live on, and they start spreading it's basically, you could consider it your body's own version of fake news. And it starts spreading this fake news throughout your body. And that's one of the mechanisms by which diseases like cancer form. But it also leads to all of these other. Uh, it's a mechanism by which a lot of disease and illness in your body can occur, is by this type of manipulation of your DNA. And I want to point out explicit, this was it's still the levels that Doctors Lyons Singh measured was well within safety standards. It's
Wow.
just what you'd get from using your cell phone. What was even more concerning in their results was they showed that the damage continues to occur for hours after the exposure. So that
Wow.
once you stop using the phone and go away, your DNA is still breaking down. So that is, I think, a pretty critical piece of knowledge when you're trying to figure out what EMF can do to you, because every cell in your body, everything that's alive, in effect, needs DNA. And if EMF
Yeah.
can break down DNA, you're talking about a vulnerability to all living things, certainly all human life. And it's in every system in our body. That's why you see EMF can result in so many different malfunctions, whether it's a brain tumor or sleep disruption, or tinnitus, which is the ringing of the ear. That is a symptom associated with EMF exposure, documented. So that's why you see EMF can affect so many different systems in your body.
Got it. So when that cell tower sends us information, it fights with our cellular tower, and we either turn into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, or something else kills us. So our
Yeah,
natural, it kind of
yeah,
affects our health in a slow way.
yeah. And
Understood.
cancer is the one that everyone's really afraid of, and for obvious reasons, especially when it's in your brain. It's a terrifying disease.
Of course.
And there are several types of cancers that have been linked to EMF exposure. But I do want to underscore it is not the only type of disease that you can get. So another, where there's strong science behind it, is increased risk of miscarriage for women. You have increased rates of infertility in men. You have sleep disruption, which doesn't sound nearly as bad as brain cancer, but it's a pretty big problem in the world today. And it's also one that contributes further to a suppressed immune system when you're not getting enough sleep. So there's a whole broad array of negative health effects that have been linked through good, high quality science
Okay.
to EMF exposure.
Great. So, which leads me to another question. I have my phone and I carry it with me everywhere I go. I sleep with it. It's pretty much stuck to my hand. And so, what can I do
Those
to
are some
protect
bad
myself?
habits. Yeah.
It's not even a habit. I think it's a lifestyle for a lot of us,
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so I think that is where I want to know how I can protect myself, knowing that there's going to be a 5G there's going to be, I wouldn't even just like focus on calling it 5G, that there's going to be new waves
Hmm.
waves running through
Sure.
our body. So to prepare for these new waves and the ones that have existed in the past, what can I do?
Okay. Well, it breaks down into three areas.
Okay.
One, I have a series on my website. It's called my Healthy Living Tips. And if you go to my website and you go to the Learn menu, it's right there, Healthy Living Tips. And it's a few dozen already, and I'm trying to put out more, time permitting. But these are ways that you can use technology in a more healthy manner without sacrificing your enjoyment of the technology. So one fantastic example is to never carry your phone in your pocket. A lot of people do this. They don't even realize that the cell phone companies themselves tell you not to do it if you read the fine print in the manual. So if you read your iPhone manual, you'll see that they tell you that there's a minimum distance that you're supposed to have between your phone and your body. Because if the phone is too close to your body, the EMF exposure exceeds federal guidelines. So you should never carry your phone in your pocket. Or if you do, put it into airplane mode, because when your phone is in airplane mode, it's not emitting these powerful wireless signals. So that's an example of one of these healthy living tips. Another is to never bring your phone to bed or to put it into airplane mode before you fall asleep. So another would be to turn off your Wi-Fi router at night, or to, if you can't, at least keep it as far away from you as possible. And because I skipped a point here, which is all of these healthy living tips boil down to two key facts, right? One, the best way to reduce your exposure to a pollutant is to reduce your use of the polluting technology. So that means, like I said, for example, turning off your Wi-Fi router at night or putting your phone into airplane mode. The less you use this technology, the less of the radiation you'll be exposed to. That's the single best thing you can do. Even if you can't get rid of all of it in your life, right? The parts that you can control, you should, because you'll be making those reductions in
Absolutely.
that part of your life. Now, there's the second key fact with EMF, which a lot of people don't understand until you explain it to them, which is that the power of EMF radiation diminishes exponentially with distance. And what that means is if as you double the distance, let's say this is you and this is your tech, if you double the distance, the power of the radiation drops by 75%. So, and as you double it again, it drops by another 75%. So there's an exponential decline in the power of the radiation that you're exposed to. And so that's why when I say don't keep it in your pocket, because when you keep it in your pocket, obviously it's right next to you. And so the power is very high. And so if you can keep things further away from your body, makes a huge difference into your overall cumulative exposure. So all of my healthy living tips are based in one or both of those two fundamental principles, which is use the tech less and create a bigger distance between you and the tech when you are using it. Because I want to be clear, as I started this conversation, this tech, I know that this tech isn't going anywhere. And Jonathan, you've known me for a long time. You know that I have a background in technology and that I like gadgets. I like cool tech.
Absolutely.
It's fun. I like it less now than I did when we worked together, but I still like it. I certainly appreciate it. I don't expect people to give it up. But there are smarter ways of using it. That's why I turn off the Wi-Fi router at night, because I'm not using the Wi-Fi router at night. Why should I keep it on and keep being exposed when I'm not getting any benefit out of it?
Right.
So the healthy living tips, that's the thing that everyone can start doing right now once you know the things that you can do. And like I say, I have that on my blog at shieldyourbody.com. Second thing you can do, and this is where a company like mine comes in, is use radiation protection products that really work. Because there's a lot of products out there that claim to protect you from EMF, and some are based in real demonstrable science, and like the ones that I make and sell, and some don't have the science to support their claims. So I always advise people to invest in the products that have real science that can explain what they do. And like on my site, we have lab testing data for all of my products. I show people how they can test my products themselves with certain types of meters that you can buy, even just buy them on Amazon. So those types of products can make a big difference. So going back to the example of not carrying your phone in your pocket, I say that all the time. It's like the number one tip that I have for people is stop carrying your phone in your pocket. But a lot of people are going to do it anyway because it's habit, and they don't really have, especially men, a lot of men don't have anywhere else to carry it. And so I make a couple of products designed to make it safer to carry your phone in your pocket. So like my phone pouch or my 5G phone shield, which do the same thing. They're just designed differently so that one's a pouch and one's just a shield that you put in. But if you, for instance, put the phone in the pouch and then put the pouch in your pocket or on your belt, that deflects radiation away from your body in the other
Wow.
direction. I have another product, my laptop pad. A laptop is same as a phone. You should not use it up against your body, but a lot of people do. And so I
Yeah.
make a product, the laptop pad, which again deflects the radiation away from your body while you're using your laptop. So the radiation protection products is the second thing. So the first thing is the healthy living tips, which are based in minimizing use and maximizing distance. Second is radiation protection products that are based in real science, like the ones that I make and sell at shieldyourbody.com. Now, the third takes more effort. And I'm working to build up more content for my list members and my customers to help them along this path. But it's to get active, because the federal government, certainly in the United States, but really around the world, the federal government is not going to protect you from this stuff. So the way that you're going to be able to cut down exposure in your environment, the exposures that are out of your immediate control, right? Like carrying your phone in your pocket, that's a decision that you make. Whether that cell phone tower goes up on your child's school, that's not a decision that you make. That's a decision that your city council makes, or that your school board has made, or whoever it is. So those are out of your immediate control, and what you need to do is organize and fight. Fight is perhaps the wrong word, because I'm not suggesting burning down cell towers like they're doing in England, but to challenge the installation of more infrastructure. Because that is how you are going to start making a difference on a broader level beyond just your immediate body. And so those are the three areas: the healthy living tips, radiation protection products, and activism.
It's almost inevitable for this to even get stronger in the future. 5G with 6G. What is CG? 6G will just be a new level of waves that'll probably come in the next 3 to 5 years, right? And that's something that,
Well,
but we have to start right now
yeah,
with.
generally, the cell phone technology adds a new G every 10 years.
Okay, 10 years.
Whether that'll last, whether that'll hold true with 6G or not, we'll see. But like 4G came out in, I think it was 2008, and 3G came out, I think, in 1999.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it's about every 10 years that you're seeing a new, and G, for people who don't know, there's G in 5G stands for generation, because it's the fifth
God,
generation of cell phone networks.
great. Really interesting information related to that. Yeah, I know that there's like gigabytes, that's GB, and then so G
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and some people get confused because they'll have a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi router in their house and they think they have
right.
5G. That's different. 5 gigahertz is different from 5G.
Yeah, there's all this confusion and fake news, and I think the level of education of a lot of our world is just they'll believe anything that they hear. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you for at least my network, because like you said, all we can really do is create videos, inform our people, our network as best as possible. So I definitely am interested in learning more about what it is that you're providing for your customers, your clients, and supporting that as well. So, is there anything
Cool.
else that you want to say in closing for my friends and people out there?
Uh, no, well, calm down. Because once you start learning about this stuff, because I deal with the people all the time who are just learning about this stuff. And when you start just learning about this stuff, it can sometimes be terrifying because you start to realize, they've deployed all of this technology without any testing into human health, and it's surrounding us everywhere that we go, and more and more of it every year. And it, like I say, it can be terrifying. Don't be terrified. Take action. And there are real ways that you can start taking action and making a real difference in your personal exposure and your personal health for free, just by learning some of the better ways, the healthier ways to use and live with and enjoy technology. And then from there, take some time and learn this stuff because it is everywhere. And they keep deploying more and more and more of it. And more people are starting to have these allergic reactions to the levels of EMF that we're seeing in our environment. And the more aware of it you are, the more you can protect yourself and the more you can take action to protect your loved ones and the community that you live in. And
Wonderful.
5G did not cause COVID. So if you want to get one thing out of this talk, get that. If 5G did not cause COVID.
Yes. All right, well, thank you so much for your time. If we want to get a hold of you, if you want to learn more about what you do, can you tell us where we can find you, or how can
Sure.
we follow you?
Sure. Yeah. So the website is shieldyourbody.com, and our handle on all the networks is Shield Your Body. So we're on
Shield.
Facebook. Shield. Yeah. SHIELD YOURBODY. And maybe you can put that in the the description when you post this video. But yeah, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram. And again, of course, shieldyourbody.com, which is where we have a lot of information as well as links to all our social pages.
Perfect. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, R.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Stay safe, man.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.